All right, all you YouTubers out there.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I got another tool to share with you today that I actually teach inside of my class in high school for a bunch of high school students. If you didn't pick up on my Who is Mr. Cause video, I'm a high school teacher. I teach this class called Social Health. And in short, it's a class that teaches you how to have advantages, information, and skills to have better relationships with your family members, your friends, other adults like parents and teachers, your peers, also online relationships, and most importantly, to help you improve the relationship with yourself all at the same time. So here's another video I have for you. This one is called Connection Before Concern. If you haven't watched my other tool video that describes the things I teach inside of my high school curriculum in my high school class, go back and watch that one first. That one's called Statements versus Questions. This one is a part 2 to it called Connection Before Concern. I hope you like it. Enjoy. So a little recap from the last one. Using statements to start off a conversation drastically increases the probability that that conversation is not going to turn into drama and get all away from you and you're stuck there talking for 3 or 4 hours. So in Connection Before Concern, this is a little trick to how to take statements and use it in a very specific way to help someone that's going through a difficult time or to give someone bad, difficult information in a way that doesn't hurt their feelings so much or doesn't cause things to blow up in your face. So I want you to think about it this way. Someone that is struggling will usually respond to connection better than a concern. So let's say, let's use a scenario where we have a teenager and a parent. The teenager is really struggling with their grades. The parent knows that they're struggling with the grades, and the parent's getting fed up because the parent keeps on telling the teenager, do your homework, do your homework, do your homework. And the teenager kind of stares at the paper, kind of stares at the stuff, but is really not putting a lot of effort into it. Eventually the parent gets really upset and they tell the teenager, I'm tired of this.
I'm sick of it. I am.
I don't know why you can't just sit there and do your homework. What is wrong with you? I'm gonna ground you. I'm gonna take away your phone, your Xbox, and they start making a bunch of threats.
You're threatening me, Master Jedi.
That's something that's very typical for parents to do. It's something very typical for anyone to do when they're upset. To come at someone and get mad at them and upset with them, hoping that if you shame them or if you're pissed off or angry enough, it'll shake them up and then they'll finally go do the thing that you want them to do. But I always tell parents and people that take that approach, you gotta be really careful because no one likes to be yelled at and criticized, even if you're right in yelling at them and criticizing them.
Well, why you booing me? I'm right.
I remember one time I was driving on the freeway, and as I was getting onto the freeway, there's just an example of this. A big trucker was in the slow lane, and as I'm getting on, the truck driver wasn't gonna let me onto the freeway. I had the right of way. Eventually I realized this person's not gonna let me on the freeway, and I had to swerve outside of the lane onto some dirt and punch it and get in front of this person. Eventually we met up side by side and I turned, I looked at this person in the truck and I was like, I just went like threw up my hands like, what? This person flipped me off.
Reno, that's very rude.
I was like, wait a second. Shouldn't I be flipping you off? Like, why are you upset with me? You ran me off the road. He knew it was his fault. It was totally obvious. He was just like, I'm not gonna move. You gotta move around me. But when he saw me go off the road, I could tell, I looked back, I could tell he was even scared. He didn't want me to die. So I thought this was funny. Like, why did he get mad at me when he was obviously the one in fault? Because when I looked at him, I said, what are you doing? I asked him a question. My body language was angry and upset with him. And at that moment, his natural reaction was to get angry and upset back at me. Now, I know this is an extreme example, but this is typical for what happens in communication between people all the time. So when someone is mad at you and they have a right to be mad at you and you're in the wrong, nobody wants someone to come at you sideways or to come at you in a manner which makes you feel like it's personal and that you're a bad person. You may have made a mistake, but you don't want someone to make you feel like you are the mistake. So connection before concern, it's this little trick where if you're about to say something bad to someone, first acknowledge a connection that you have with them. So now I'm gonna use an example of you and a close friend. Let's say your close friend told you that they had to stay home that night and they couldn't go out and do anything. And then 2 hours later, you log online and see them hanging out with another mutual friend, having a great time. And you're sitting there going,
Wait a minute.
Well, what do we have here? You told me you couldn't hang out, and now you're hanging out and posting about it? Most people tell me it makes them feel like they were lied to. You lied to me, Phil. That this person is embarrassing them and shaming them, even if no one else knows. It's hard not to take that personal. So now if you were to use connection before concern, instead of going to your friend, because this would be the easy thing to do, what's up with that? I thought you said you didn't have any, I thought you said you couldn't hang out tonight. I thought you said you didn't want to go out, or you couldn't, you had homework, whatever. How come you're hanging out with them? Why'd you lie to me? Instead of taking that approach, the connection before concern approach would sound something like this. You know what? I'm so glad you and I are friends. In fact, I consider you one of my best friends. My life is a whole lot better because we met. I just want to let you know that I always have your back if you ever need anything. And I wanted to share with you that last night when you hung out, after you told me you couldn't hang out with me, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Meaning, if you don't know what benefit of the doubt means, it means you're going to trust that someone didn't have any bad intentions. So you can tell your friend, I'm going to trust because we're such good friends, something must have happened, something must have been a mistake, and that's why you hung out, even though you told me you couldn't. So what you do right there, or what's happening right there in that situation, psychologically, everyone is going to be defensive if you attack them, even if they're wrong. So in this way, you're reminding your friend, hey, we're such good friends. I know you would never have done that on purpose. Now let's face it, you can have a good friend, and sometimes what you wanted to do just didn't sound exciting or interesting. And if someone calls up, maybe it's someone they're attracted to. Maybe it's someone that they've been wanting to hang out with and doesn't usually reach out to them. Whatever the reason is, they don't want to hurt your feelings. They just chose to go do something with someone else. So the best way to deal with this is to tell them that you believe that it wasn't anything personal towards you. You're not going to take it personal, but you did want to let them know it did bum you out, it did hurt your feelings, but you're not going to make a big deal about it. That gives the person the opportunity to come to you and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But if someone's telling you how bad of a person you are, how bad of a friend you are, it's really hard to apologize. And even if you do apologize, it's not going to be like a great apology. It's going to be one of those apologies where hey, sorry that, I forgot to tell you that I have other friends too. Sorry that, I didn't hang out with you, but you've ghosted me before and you've hung out with other friends and didn't invite me. That's not a good sorry. That's not a good apology. That's a sorry. So connection before concern, when you go to your parents, when you go to your friends, you go to anyone with a difficult thing you need to tell them, or if they're going through a difficult time, the best way to use this, say something good about the relationship, remind them how close you guys are before you give them that bad information. Now, I've used this in other videos that we've talked about. I'm just breaking down what this tool is. One of the most effective ways I use this is when someone's having serious issues with their mental health. If they're suicidal, if they're depressed, if they have some really big challenges going on in their life. I never start off with saying, why are you depressed? Why are you suicidal?
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
Because if I'm a good friend of theirs and I know them really well, I should have a good idea about them, that I shouldn't be surprised if they're having a hard time. So instead, the connection would be, let's say your friend tells you that they're depressed or sad or struggling. The first thing you'd want to say in this tool, connection before concern, would sound like this. First off, thank you for telling me this. Thanks for trusting me. Thanks for believing that I'm a good enough friend. Thanks for letting me know what's going on with you in your life, because you mean a lot to me. That's the connection part. Then the concern part is, and now that you've told me, I really want to help you with what's going on. I don't want you to have to deal with this alone. So I can help you talk to your parents about it, maybe the school counselor, maybe our teacher, our coach, someone that you trust if you don't trust telling your parents. But not telling someone's not an option, because, you not being happy would make me unhappy. So I want to do what I can to help you. That's a great example of connection before concern to help a friend that's struggling. If you were to start that off with a bunch of questions, even though you may have good intentions, asking someone a bunch of questions does, like I said in the last video, put them on guard and make them defensive because they're not sure why you're asking the questions, even if your intentions are to help. So give it a shot, connection before concern. Let me know how it goes. And everybody taking this class, please try this. in your day-to-day life, you will see huge changes on how well conversations go. And let's face it, we all like it when we have a good conversation that ends well in peace or a good understanding and there's less drama. Nobody likes when a conversation goes on and it just never gets dealt with and it keeps on stirring up stuff over and over again. So try connection before concern if you want to have shorter conversations that are far more effective. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. And if you liked it and it gave you some interesting ideas about how to deal with the drama in your life, like, subscribe, share, shoot, you know what to do. And if you want to raise your hand to ask the teacher a question, simply put your question in the comment box. Thanks for watching, Mr. Kaz.